Hey everyone, welcome to Disclosure Now. We're going to do something a little bit different today. I'm going to be talking with Brian about um, how this all happens when starting in elementary school, and how uh, public schools are actually literally kidnapping kids and sending them to Mars and sending them to space to fight in wars. And I'm going to detail how I was like a part of that process recently. So, welcome, Brian, and thanks for being here on short notice.
No worries, my pleasure. I know you've been getting a lot of recalls lately in the past weeks, especially, and then the topic of the MARSupials and the discussions that you and I have had. Definitely, the public needs to hear this.
Yeah, and so the first time I ever talked about the marsupials, I was in an interview with Penny, and there was somebody who was able to figure out the school that I worked out and where like basically where this was happening, the exact school. So I just want to say, like, as a disclaimer at the beginning of this, like, please don't like be a detective and like find this school and like look it up and like start calling it, or like everybody at the school is totally unaware of the stuff going on. I was a janitor at this school, and when I brought up the stuff that was all related to the programs, they literally thought the school was haunted. So that's how oblivious they were. They like thought this like all the explanation for all the weird stuff happening at their school for them always was boiled back down to, oh, the school's super haunted, which maybe it was because it was a really old school, but it definitely yeah, there was definitely some strange stuff going on there. And I've been wrestling over whether I should be public about the information or not, because I want the kids that go to that school to be safe. I want the teachers to go to that teach at that school to be safe. They're oblivious to what's going on. They're clueless. This is happening on at schools all across the country, and 9 out of 10 of the people who are involved do not know what's going on. They've got alters and stuff like that. So that's the
So,
reality.
let's summarize here, Arkeem, just for our audience. So, what you're saying is there are public schools out there across our United States and probably other countries where in these schools there are facilities that can even get you access to, for example, like jump rooms to bases on another planets like Mars.
Yeah. So this is how it all happened for me. I was cleaning a school. I got a janitor job, and I worked this job for like a year. And I was cleaning a school. It was an elementary school, and I eventually figured out that I was being taken sometimes, like at work. And I eventually figured out like there's an elevator there, and the elevator it would, when I would be going to the next floor, it would bring me down instead and open up behind me, and they would grab me. And I remember there was like a tall white, and then this weird blonde woman who I actually was there when I got grabbed, and I actually saw her like in the here and now or whatever, like walking around the school. And so, like I said, there's like one or two people where they actually know what's going on, but 90% of the people that are involved have alters and are programmed as well, and they have no idea what's going on. So with teachers, a lot of people might wonder, like, how do they get away with this shit in front of the teachers? Like, how do they not know? Like, one of the things that they'll do is the teachers will get programmed, and they'll have a code where, like, they can say something to the teacher like, "Hey, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. The sun never rises in the evening," or something weird that you'd never actually say in normal conversation, but it sounds normal enough to where if someone was walking by, they would maybe not even notice it. You know what I mean?
It's
And anyway,
innocuous.
yeah.
They're innocuous activations.
And so what they have is there's just authors that come forward where it's like a programmer maybe will come in and they'll talk to the teacher real quick and they'll say it out loud, and then the teacher there's an author that can come out where the author's just passive and they just listen. So basically this author comes out, and then the programmer can be like, all right, get the fuck in the corner, get over there, stand there in the corner, look at the wall, and they'll just do it. And then they can like, all right, we need you, Johnny. We need you, da 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 da. All right, and then just stay there by the wall. And then they, they bring the kid to the jump gate or whatever. It happens in 10, 15 minutes, and then that's 20 years or whatever. And then they bring the kids back, and they go, all right, back in front of the room. All right. As soon as I'm done here and I done saying this phrase and I snap my fingers, you're teaching your class again. You don't remember why I'm here. You don't want to embarrass yourself, so you just pretend that you do know why I'm here. All right, go. That's that, and they snap their finger, and then they're just like in front of their class, like, what the fuck just happened? And there's this guy there with the sticks, so like they just keep teaching because they don't want to look stupid. And that's literally like how it works. Like that's how they'll do it. And so like right in front of me, right in front of these teachers, like every day at the school that I was cleaning, like there's just strange things going on. And again, like I said, they would always write it off as, oh, well, the school's haunted. Like that's why all this weird paranormal stuff is happening at our school. It doesn't make any sense. Like it's just haunted. And like I'll even give an example. Like I was telling the teachers about some of the weird stuff that happened to me. Some of it being like I heard voices at one point. Like I heard a little boy say hello, like right in front of me. So I was telling them about some of this stuff. And they started telling me about some wild shit. The teachers, like they opened up to me about some crazy stuff that was going on. So one of the teachers, she left because of me. She was inspired by me for whatever reason to leave a recorder in her classroom. Okay. So she left a recorder in her classroom and she showed me, and she tried to email it to me 3 times and the email never went through. They must have been blocking it. So I could show you the audio file, but it's
was it through? Did she send it? You trying to use her school email?
Yeah. Yep. She tried to send it to me, and but I heard it. But basically, it was at 3 a.m. All of a sudden, you just hear these like it's this room that's silent, and then all of a sudden, you hear these guys in there. So I'm guessing they portaled in there, they appeared in there, teleported in there, and you hear like moving around. And then all of a sudden, you hear shh, and then it stops, and you don't hear anything anymore. It goes quiet. And it's
and I want to say something here, Akim. There's a lot of videos popping up all over the internet. I know some people might say CGI, maybe in some cases, but I don't think in all of the cases of people, it seems like materializing or popping out of nowhere.
Yeah, and I know that's real now. Like, well, I talk about the portals all the time. But yeah, there's like technology they have where they can kind of just appear.
And just like that.
Technology where they can be like walking around like either cloaked or even better is slightly phased out of reality where they can see you and you can't see them. And so that's another aspect of it too. But yeah, like that's for sure real, like teleportation. Like, like a lot of people when they get abducted by aliens, they talk about how the aliens are just all of a sudden in their room, like instantly. Like there's no like portal that opens or light that comes through in some cases, but there's lots of cases where they just show up out of nowhere. Like they're just suddenly there. So that technology has to exist. It does exist. And hey, I just want to say hello to the audience, everybody. That's what. And then Daryl is here. He's got a question. How did I get the janitor job? So I got the job just because I lived down the street, and so for years I cleaned the school across the street, and then I didn't have a job for like 3 years. I just did music and stuff. And then I got hired for them again. And what's weird is this church across the street has a school above it, okay? And it's what's called the sanctuary school. So you guys know about the sanctuary cities where it's like, oh, like they're not gonna like bust illegal immigrants, basically, I guess is kind of the idea. Like they're not gonna prosecute them if they find them or whatever. There's a school like that that I cleaned. It was a school across the street from, it's above a church and it was across the street from the other school that I cleaned. And I don't really want to name their names. I know that people will probably be able to figure it out and find it out, but I'd rather have people not look into it. I just don't. It feels this, and if you do figure it out, like please don't like the school. Just leave them alone. Like I said, they're innocent people. They're nice people. Please leave them alone. But yeah, it was weird because like across the street there was like this sanctuary school, and basically this is what's weird about it is like, okay, this is what's crazy about it. When I thought about it, is first of all that those schools are connected. All the teachers know each other. They share supplies, yada yada yada. And I just thought it was really weird that like they're like a sanctuary school with government funding and everything, which I'm fine with that. Like if you're an immigrant and you're here and you're literally sending your kid to school, you're probably a decent person, right? So like I don't have any problem with that. But like they're using it for, it's like because of that, if they're doing weird shit to their kids, right? Weird black ops stuff, these parents don't really have like the resources to like go to CPS or go to the government and be like, hey, some really weird stuff is happening to our kids at school. What they'd be like is, hey, okay, well, you're not in the country legally, so let's send you back to Mexico. You know what I mean? Like, so they can't, they're in a position where they can't come forward and say anything weird happening to their kids. So I feel like there's actually more weird stuff happening at the church across the street. But I when I was cleaning that, I was totally oblivious to like the black ops and stuff, and I didn't know what's going on, so I wouldn't have known what to look for. So I don't remember seeing anything. But like, what's weird though, so I tell, as like I said, I've told the teachers about this all, and they all had some interesting stories. And one of the stories was across the street at the church, they had church service, and there was a woman, and she was there, and all the doors were locked. She didn't open the doors yet, so no one would have been able to get in. And she was using the restroom, and she said some little boy was like suddenly in the restroom. She didn't see him walk in, and she said that he was wearing an all-white jumpsuit, which I talked about the underground and how they all wear all white jumpsuits and stuff like that. And this was before I figured all that out. And this was actually the moment when she talked about that kid with the all-white jumpsuit, Brian. That was the moment that confirmed my memories of Willem, because I remember he was wearing an all-white jumpsuit. That was the moment where I was like, shit, there really is some weird shit going on with like people and like copies of us and like all-white jumpsuits. Like there's some weird shit going on there. But yeah,
we can say the whole name of that person.
Will, who are you talking about? Willem Dafoe?
Yep.
Yeah, Willem Dafoe. Yeah. Willem Dafoe has an altar named David, like an us kind of like altar. And yeah, he told me that. And I've talked about it a lot, like how he told me to get out of Appleton. It's set up to keep you down, is what he said.
And that is exactly when Arkheim told me that months ago. That is exactly why I said, Arkheim, we got to get you and Kat out of that place.
Yeah, and we really are forever grateful for you. We are no longer there. We're somewhere better, much better for us, and we appreciate you so much for that, Brian. Yeah. But yeah, we got out of there because of all the weird stuff going on. But that was one of the things that so this teacher said there was like, yeah, like some just like a white jumpsuit kid just shows up out of nowhere, and then when she got out of the bathroom, he wasn't there anymore. But she could see in the stall, like she could see him through the stall. He was wearing an all-white jumpsuit, and he was just like all of a sudden there, and she wasn't. And she said it was like so crazy that she checked the cameras to see if someone walked in, and there was nobody on the cameras that walked in. And now some people have testified, and I know it's kind of hilarious, like it sounds like Harry Potter world or some bullshit, but people have testified, and enough people have come forward to where I'm like the proof is in the pudding. Like if enough people are saying the same thing, there's probably something to it, right? And there are a lot of people who have testified that like certain bathrooms, like you jiggle the handle a certain way, or like say something, or like clap your hands 3 times and say something or whatever, and then you'll get teleported, right? We've heard about this, how like there's places where it's like a teleportation room, like in plain sight.
And they show us in the movies too sometimes.
Yeah. And
Men in Black type stuff.
And what I think it was is he was on the other side, and this little kid in the restroom on the other side or whatever accidentally figured it out, bleeped over for a second, and the controllers were like, oh shit, and yanked him back. I think that's what happened. And they think, oh, it was a ghost. But like, what ghost walks, even let's because I believe in ghosts, they're real echoes of the past and stuff. What ghost walks around in a white jumpsuit, dude? You know what I mean? Like what? You know, like that's like, wouldn't it look old timey, like from the 80s or the 90s or some other time period before then? Why would it be wearing a white jumpsuit?
It sounds more.
Never a fashion of any period.
It sounds more future worldy.
Yeah,
like
yeah. It
kids
sounds
with a
almost more
futuristic.
futuristic. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what's weird about this now, and this is where I get into the territory where I risk people like being able to Google and like find where I work if they know enough about my story. And like
Well,
I said,
can I say something here, Arkeem? Just
what?
as a this is just kind of I from the standpoint of like the full disclosure movement, it's one thing to say the students and the staff, for the most part, who knows, at those facilities are, and especially the students, are innocent. But the facility itself, for it to be called out and named, I don't necessarily think is a bad thing. I'm not saying people should go there and harass the people at the school, but I think if that school is a facility where they're doing these types of shenanigans, I mean, I don't feel bad if you named it on the show. That's just me.
Look, if people figure it out on their own, that's fine, but I'm not going to name it. It's
Sure.
pretty easy to figure out. But essentially their mascot is the koalas, okay? And
Oh,
so
that's I just gave it away, Arkeem.
yeah,
Never-
that gives it away. You can just like look it up. But like I just prefer like I'm not gonna say the name because what's the point? But what made me think of this sorry, I just did my dishes so they're still drying. I found this in the free pile by my house. And I remember the teachers at the school literally having the same cup. Look, it's got a little koala in there. But yeah, I found this in like a free pile by my house, but it just got me thinking. And I almost feel like someone left it for me to get my mind going or something. It's weird. There's a lot of weird stuff going on. Like I found out that like I said 27 ships. It's not ships. I guess there are 27 people around me in the neighborhood I live in at all times that are like time soldier type people that are just like keeping me and others safe. And so that's why, even though I'm in a city and stuff like that, that's like kind of, there's a lot of protection here and stuff I found out. So that's a good thing.
That's good.
But yeah, so I almost wonder if it was like one of my soldiers or one of these people kind of dropping me hints, like, because it's just such a weird coincidence that this cup.
Yeah, and one time after a night out, like the next day.
You can come closer so they can hear you.
Yeah, and this is just kind of tangentially related. Well, it is related. So a couple months ago, like after a night out, I woke up the next day, and there was a note in my notes app on my phone, and it said Ark was a marsupial, and I have no memory of writing that note, and I have no memory of why I would have put that note in my phone. Like I made notes for myself all the time with random things, but I can recognize that I wrote it. But I had just no memory of writing that at all. So that was completely random.
So anyway, what's strange about this school and what's special about it, like obviously I'm talking about the koalas as their mascot, okay? And again, I'm saying if you find the school, these are innocent people, great teachers who work very hard for not enough pay. Don't harass them, please. And these kids, there's some good news to this. The good news to these programs is I remember and can confirm they're not Montauk programming these kids. It's
Okay.
much more humane. It's done with like virtual reality and stuff like that. So they're not like abusing kids and like doing sexual things of that nature with freaking children. So that's a huge improvement from a lot of the other programs that I've been involved in. But the issue that I have, as I do with all these programs, is the lack of transparency and the fact that these are children and they can't really consent. And then I know how it worked I got sent with a little contract that my mom signed when you know what I mean? Like they sent me home with a contract and it's like, my mom didn't know what's going on. These people, my main issue is that I don't think these people can really consent to what's going on. And so that's why I have a problem with it. But anyway, if people can see in the logo for this, the thumbnail, MARSupials, I put that within the Mars is big, and the koala with the gun and the eye patch. That's a real thing. So what they do is when these kids get selected for these programs, here's another interesting thing about this school. It's called the Charter 1 School. forgive me if I'm saying that wrong, but it's something similar to that if it's not called a Charter 1, but I believe it's called the Charter 1 school. And essentially what a Charter 1 school is it's a school that gets more resources than the other schools, gets more money in the form of grants and stuff like that, so they can take in the poorer kids in the community. And so it's in a centralized location usually. And so kids all throughout the city will go to this school, even though there are other schools that are closer to them. And it's all kids that are in the lower, it's all lower class kids, their families don't have as much money. And so I remember, because, the guys that would come in to show me how to use my equipment and stuff, or when I first started working there, they're like, man, you got the nicest scrubber I've ever seen and stuff. Because, I guess that school just had all sorts of money, like a lot of money. And
that's your tip off right there, guys. This school's got money in this day and age. Come on.
And then also another thing, like Corey Good, right? He's like a bad word in this community, but he spoke a lot of truths, right? And mixed in lies. And one of the things that he talked about, which was a truth, a very important truth, was he talked about how they always take kids from low income backgrounds where the parents might have problems, or maybe they have drug problems, or maybe the parents are just too freaking busy working 2 jobs. And so think about it. That is the perfect environment. This school, it's literally like you have the school across the street that's connected to migrant parents that literally can't report anything about their kids happening because they're scared to, which is connected to the school where they're getting all this money because it's low income kids. And then what they did with the like I said, with the koalas, is they made the MARSupials like a secret society of the school, where they made the kids that got to be part of it feel special, right? Like they were chosen. Like they're
and that's common, common in these programs. They tell you, hey, you want to help humanity and help your country and blah blah blah, and then they MK Ultra you.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a time corporation that colonizes planets that was involved in doing it. And what I found out is that in the past they've said Solar Warden. I don't think that's totally inaccurate, but the people who are actually working for, they're called, and I don't hear other people talking about this. Anybody else who remembers this and has been talking about this, because I can only imagine there are, please message me. But it's Joint Navy Space Fleet is who is involved in this program. And Joint Navy Space Fleet is the UN. So all the United Nations are a part of Joint Navy Space Fleet. And Joint Navy Space Fleet in the UN is a governing body that's colonizing planets and stuff already underneath the radar, obviously it's covered up and not common knowledge. But so there's, Solar Warden in the United States space military and stuff like that. And we have our separate militaries, and that's all real. But there's countries that we're united with, the UN, and we actually have what's called the Joint Navy Space Fleet. And what I can say about the school that I worked at, I would get recall all the time of the teachers that worked there and the kids that went to the school being on Centurion 5 with me. Well, I've actually been calling it I'm starting to call it by its proper name, Aurelia. It's actually called Aurelia. It was named Aurelia, and the people that lived on it were called the Aurelians. They looked like Admiral Akbar. And then when the humans came along, they started calling it Centurion 5. But I think it's more correct of me to call it Aurelia. But anyway, when we started colonizing Aurelia, it was just like, dude, it was crazy. Like, I remember they put us in like giant bodies with like laser plasma guns to cut down the trees. So just like, wow, when you're just cutting down like tons of trees at once, and like killing dinosaurs, fighting dinosaurs and stuff, eradicating. It was crazy, dude. Because like,
it's Avatar, basically.
Yeah,
was there floating crab too, or not?
Yes, there was. Yes, and a lot of the city was like in the sky by the end of it. And then when I got there, I literally started as like tents and like huts, and then it worked up to like cabins, and then it built up. I saw it through lifetimes build up to a giant megatropolis. And I think they did the same thing with me as all these kids at this school and a lot of people in Appleton, where I was a colonist civilian on Centurion 5 for like at least 8 or 9 lifetimes, at least, probably many more, where I saw it all. And so through time travel, they're just using people like from Earth to be the people like on that planet, like hanging out, like living there.
It's like Sim City. They're basically playing Sim City with our grade school kids.
Yeah, they kind of, and like I said, like I remember like there's like this kid who I remember that went to the school, and it was like this Asian kid, and he was really unique looking because like, you know, most Asian people don't have like blue eyes, like, and he
That's
had like
pretty rare.
Yeah, he had like these cobalt like periwinkle eyes, and like I remember that like I saw him, like I remember like I got a memory back of him like coming to my door and being like all suited up like in like a black tactical uniform and like telling me a bunch of information. And I remember it was a weird moment where my alter remembered him from me, and like it was a really weird recall to have because it was like deja vu for me, and that moment that I remembered was deja vu for my alter. It's so weird, but like I remembered him, and like I remember like one of the teachers was like this Hmong lady. Like I remember like her being one of the people was in the suits, like just blasting shit with me, like clearing out the forest and stuff. I'm like, it's just like if I told, and this is the insane part, and this is what I really want people to understand. It's like if I try to tell that woman like, hey, we colonized the planet through time travel, she would be like, you're nuts, dude. Go see a psychiatrist. Like that did not happen. No, I wasn't talking about John Whitberg. No, I was talking about this Asian kid that went to the school that I knew as an adult in the future through time travel.
But having said, when you said periwinkle eyes,
it's a great book, by the way.
Yeah,
I started reading it, and it's really good.
And also, I think John Whitberg and at least one other person. You're not the only person to mention or talk about Centurion 5 in your testimony, Arkheim.
Yeah, there's
colonizing it.
Multiple Centurions, and the Centurions usually have to do with the Germans. And so I think even Centurion 5, even though it's Joint Navy Space Fleet, I know there's a German presence there. But yeah, it's confusing like with the Centurions because there's more than one.
Okay.
So the Centurion that is most commonly referred to, which is one of two, it's debated on what is really the capital of the German Federation of Colonies, Das Bundeskolonies or whatever they call it. The most common Centurion is a Dyson sphere. And for the longest time, I thought the Dyson sphere that people talk about all the time and the Centurion that I talk about are the same thing until I found out that it is a Dyson sphere. And then once I found that out, I realized that can't be the same planet because I remember kicking out the native species and invading the Centurion that I talk about. So it can't be the same Centurion. So what I figured out is Centurion is a military designation. It basically means that this planet is a military outpost ready for battle. That's what Centurion means. So I think that's why they named planets Centurion, is just because it's a military designation.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Growing up, my school's talented program used to take us into a limo to get pizza as a reward, although I never remember eating any pizza. Kind of weird now that I think about it. Here, I'm going to put that on the screen. Yeah, that's normal. And like when you're a kid, like no one listens to you. And like, what are you supposed to say? Like, I remember like stuff that didn't like, it's weird. Like, and like we had Gloria Haas on the show recently, and she talked about how she had memories and stuff that like she didn't remember stuff. Like she had friends like she didn't even remember and stuff. And like I had similar things happen. So it's kind of traumatic having a lot of these things happen to you. But yeah, I want to just so now that we're like, I've kind of established like what they were doing, like I kind of want to explain how the training worked. And so how the training worked was, so obviously they were like, you're a marsupial, you're special. There's an elevator. They would take them out during a certain class, and through the time travel, they could be gone for like, through the portals, they could be gone for like 3 or 4 hours, or they could be gone for as long as they wanted, really, before they brought them back. And basically here on Earth, we would teach them, and I was training them how to use telekinesis, psionic abilities, how to mentally, telepathically link, stuff like that. Them doing the puzzles that are like floating in the air, all that stuff would happen underneath the school here on Earth. And then later on in life, Not sure how he got them, but later on in life, when they were about 15, just like Montauk, they would get sent off for military training and they get sent to Mars. And there, another version of me, a different clone of me, but the same person, but just time displaced, right, would greet them and be like, "Hey, soldiers, long time no see. You guys were little pups last time I saw you." You know what I mean? And yeah, I was part of the MARSupials. And what it was is it's very Harry Potter. Again, we're bringing up the Harry Potter stuff. Because even Harry Potter has disclosure in it, which is kind of hilarious to me, right? Like, but it's true. There is some. And, like, because I say Harry Potter because, like, the 4 houses that compete against each other. That's kind of what it was like, where there was the MARSupials, and then there was the reptilians or the lizzies, the lizards, and then there was the mammals, which I can't remember what animal they used for that, and then there was like the wildcats or something like that. But it was almost like football teams or something like that.
It's like Ender's Game. Have you seen Ender's Game?
That's something that we were actually talking about watching soon.
Yeah. Oh, you got it. Yeah. This is right out of Ender's Game, by the way, too.
Okay, so we should maybe watch that tonight. That's the movie.
You should watch it tonight.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's on Hulu or Netflix or something like that right now. So that'd be a perfect thing to watch. But so we would fight each other in military exercises. And one of the crazy things that I remember is one of Tom Cruise's clones was one of the guys that there was 2 other guys, and Tom Cruise's clone was ahead of maybe the Lizzies, I forget. But like I wish I remember the team names to a T specifically, but I actually only really remember my own. And like, yeah, that if you see the thing, like we actually had a logo and it was like MARSupials, and I think it said something on the bottom of it, something like pay something pay dirt or something like that. We were gonna get that pay dirt or some shit like that. And it was literally like the patch that we wore was literally like an angry koala, like this with a gun and like the red thing in his eyes. And that's another thing too, is we did have like the red infrared eye thing, like which helps you like aim and stuff like that. And
Arkheim, they have these like kind of like cool koala squad commando patches. We're talking about the Secret patches. They have like cyborg commando koala patches out there.
Really?
Yeah, I gotta get you one. I'll look it up on the screen, see if I can pull one up for us while you're giving your testimony here.
Are the programs really competitive or combative? Okay, so for the Joint Navy Space Fleet, okay, here, different programs are different. The German programs are very competitive, and the people who lose get punished. The American programs are the same way, but a little less severe. It's more camaraderie. Like, for instance, like I remember that we would have beers after. Like, me and the other team leaders, we would go out for beers after doing team exercises with each other. So we got along, and we were comrades. We were working for the same team. So yeah, we were comrades, but we also wanted to kick each other's asses, and we wanted to win. And failure wasn't an option. Like, so both. It was competitive and combative, if that makes sense.
And then in terms of Tom Cruise, John Whitberg and many others have cited him as being the Tom Cruise down here on Earth, or however, whichever clone, of Tom you wanted to get to. He is a clone of, who is it? Gabriel Krueger, right?
Yeah, he's from an alternate reality.
Can you talk about that? Because like the Tom Cruise tie-in definitely bears
it's interesting, right? It's definitely like, what? Wait, Tom Cruise? Like,
yeah,
right? Yeah, it's interesting. My whole life I knew that I was connected to Tom Cruise, and I couldn't really understand why. It's kind of weird. But now I do, obviously. And there's another reality where he's like, I guess, head of one of the Time Corps, which is called Krueger. And I'm really parroting other people's memories because I'm sure I've encountered this stuff with all the alternate reality stuff that I've done. Let me see if I can get Jacob to come through. Yeah, Gabriel Krueger, really obsessed with the number 44. Not sure why. Yeah, but in this he's got a problem. So he's got the thing where he's a people pleaser, and that can be a really great thing, or it can be really bad. And for him, I think it's bad. Like, he's too much of a people pleaser. Like, he wants to be loved, wants to be liked too much, to his own detriment sometimes. And but yeah, from what I remember him from the programs, like, I just remember him as like a bro, like laughing with him, laughing my ass off with him, having beers with him after training, and yeah, that's mostly all I remember is just the Mars Defense Force stuff, to be honest with you. And
and you see, he's got a bunch of like movies. Like, doesn't he have at least one where he's on Mars?
yeah, probably. I can only imagine. I mean, he's in so many films.
He's in everything. If you could put my screen up there, Arkheim, I found some of these kind of more like combat bear koala type theme patches.
Oh,
I can't find the exact one I'm thinking of, but it's something along this theme right here.
yeah, it's kind of like that. Yeah, but
combat koala.
It's a circular patch. But okay, so we got a question from someone here sorry for the delay on answering you, buddy. Could they just be seeding humanity on hospitable planets so we outnumber most other UTs filling the whole universe? Okay, so what I want people to understand is we're the bad guys. We go to other people's planets and just say, oh, this is ours now. Like, we just show through time travel, like, we show up overnight and, oh, human beings have been on our planet for 600 years now. It's a problem. I'm sorry for that harsh truth. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. A lot of people want to hear the Alana Danan fucking lie of, oh, all of the bases are cleared out and we won already. Give up. Go smoke an opium den. You don't need to do anything. Like, just nothing matters. It's already done. Like, you know what I mean? I'm sorry if I'm exaggerating, but I just don't like that message. But the reality is, as humanity, we're children. We're the bad guys. We're colonizing. It's not that there isn't any hope for us. There's a lot of human beings, both on Earth and in the breakaway, who want to colonize space ethically and do not like the time corporations and do not like the things that are going on. In fact, that's kind of the consensus of most humans, is that the time corporations are bad and that they don't like them. But the thing is they have all the money and the power and control. So what the fuck can they do about it? It's that
and the vast majority of humanity doesn't even know they exist. You talk about time corporations, people laugh at us.
Yeah, exactly. On some breakaways, they actually do know about the time corporations and do know that stuff's built through time travel. But,
can I say something here, Arkheim?
Yeah.
Audrey Walters is speaking to what you're talking about with like humanity just going and setting up bases and how it's not, we're just like benignly seeding humanity as like our seed on hospital planets that are just lying around. Far from it. Apparently what's happening is that we've, just like this Centurion 5 scenario, like Avatar, go and, rape and take and kill.
And by the way, we did it on Earth. This isn't our planet.
Right. Yeah.
We don't come from here. We colonized this planet. This is not our planet.
Right. And so the galactic court system and the galactic federation types do not like this. And apparently, as part of this whole ascension of Earth and freeing Earth, there's going to be a reckoning for these secret space programs. And Audrey says that they're given a choice, that they have to decide make up their minds by a certain point. Where are they going to reunite with Earth? Because many of these secret space programs have told their own people, hey, Earth is no longer inhabitable because it got blown up in a cobalt bomb war or whatever. And so these secret space programs, they have to make the choice of A, come clean with their own people and reunite with Earth, or fine, don't come clean with their own people and they have to break off all contact with Earth permanently. And another aspect of that is that the reckoning for these secret space programs is a lot of their bases and colonies where they've set up shop through this really terrible Vietnamization or whatever you want to call it,
Mhm.
just Iraqization, Afghanistan, name
Yeah.
it. That they're going to be told either you clear out of Dodge or we're going to wipe you out of Dodge. And so, yeah, it's not like the ETs are looking at the human, even the benign ETs do not look at the militarized human presence that has taken over these other planets and places as being cool. It's not.
Yeah, we are considered a vital threat to many democracies and many freedoms across the galaxy.
And we are. We are. And then someone in the chat was saying he thought that John Whitberg might have had a Japanese alter. My understanding is that he had an alter named Kyle Delshow who got to live in the Japanese breakaway.
He also has Asian alters as well.
Oh, really? Okay, never mind. I take that back.
Yep.
I stand corrected.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I actually found out that I think most of us have alters of different races and stuff like that. In fact, Brian, it's kind of interesting. I was an Asian guy like 2 months ago for a whole lifetime on a breakaway planet. I was an Asian dude. Bizarre, isn't it?
It is bizarre. And do you know how long did it feel like a full 20 and back?
It was at least a 20 and back.
Okay. And so for people in our audience from the Philadelphia experiment, apparently the Earth scientists discovered that Earth's natural time cycle rhythm is in like 20-year increments. So that's why they seem to like to work in these 20-year things. And with the Philadelphia experiment, the USS Eldridge was jumping around. It seemed in a 20-year cycle to some extent, at least. And then also Hitler's Bell, Die Glocken. It might have appeared somewhere in the U.S. as a crash site 20 years, like in 1963.
An interesting thing about that, I guess this is maybe a segue of kind of random, but I'll bring it up. I have a buddy so this goes back to Appleton and all the weirdness there, right? I have a buddy who, he's from Mexico, interestingly enough, too. So proves that there's like Mexican people in the programs, which I don't know anyone would be surprised by that. I mean, Mario, right? But just another example. But yeah, he's like, I had this really weird coincidence where I wanted to work with a rapper. I do music, and I ran into him at a gas station. I used to go to high school with him, and he's like pushing hard, dude. And he's like a cool guy. Like he's like Christian and like positive rap, like not like evil rap. You know what I mean? And like he's really good. He's like, yeah, I got on the radio in LA and everything. He's like, I've been pushing hard, man. He's like, I've always respected you. Let's make a song. So like I hung out with them, and like we started talking about like the programs. Like it was like crazy. Like it just came out. Like and he's just like, yeah, me and my brother get taken. And I'm like, what, for real? I'm like, yeah, me, like I'm in these programs too. He's like, for real? He's like, yeah, I can like shoot fire in my hands and shit like that out there. Like they sent me to like places like I like fight battles and stuff like that. And like, yeah, like I have like powers and superpowers. And I know it sounds crazy. I'm like, no, it doesn't. It doesn't to me, man. It's like, yeah, 100% what they're doing. And yeah, I just found that wild. But he was talking about how a lot of his memories were of the bell, the Die Glocken bell, and working with I call them the bad Germans on YouTube to avoid the censorship. He was working with the bad Germans. You know what I mean? And which is weird because he's a Mexican guy. But yeah, he was working with the bad Germans, and he remembers the bell, and he has all sorts of memories of literally like fighting in World War II, like as a super soldier. He told me that, like he's like, there were super soldiers on the earth, on the ground, fighting in World War II. I know because I was one of them. And this guy is just like, he doesn't talk about that. He's just a rapper on the internet. Like he's not like me, where he decided to let the disclosure take over his life. And that was the advice he gave me too. He's like, bro, you're good at music. I really like your music. You need to do your music career. Like, don't let this disclosure shit take over your life. And that's kind of what happened, but I'm okay with it.
Now, Arkheim, in terms of these super soldiers on the ground during World War II, would speculate that they may have been there to make sure that the war ended up just the way it went in this timeline, and not with the Germans overtly winning?
Yeah,
the
I mean,
bad Germans?
it was just happening on both sides. Like they had super
Because both sides are doing it.
they had super soldiers, and and like it's so confusing because it's like Germany doesn't outright own the Earth, but we had to give them the concessions. You know what I mean? And the reason why Germany left is because they're like, it was literally like, oh, like a fuck all y'all kind of thing. It's like we're tired of fighting wars with you. We're tired of like this didn't work out. We either wanted to take over the Earth and like have our empire, or and since we can't have that, bye.
We'll take the stars and all the other planets that we can infest.
Exactly. Like that's literally pretty much what they did. But also like there's terms and conditions, and they didn't lose. It's just that they knew that the war would have continued to keep on going on, and they didn't feel like dealing with that anymore either. I don't know. John Whitberg and many others can explain the whole.
What John says,
whole German presence and the actual outcome of World War II. There's a lot of other people that can explain it better than me, but
I know that, and I've definitely asked John a lot about this. He was saying that it's like the Earth, as far as humanity is concerned, is under like the cabal and officially the German state, I guess would be like, so we're in the Fourth Reich, and you've got the German breakaways. But as far as the ownership of Earth would be concerned, it would be kind of like that. And I have to ask him more like where the Germans versus the Illuminati cabal. It'd probably be the Germans with the Illuminati cabal, and then the Anunnaki for this sect for Earth, and then the Draco Reptilian Empire for this whole region of space. And so he said it would be like if the Draco Reptilian Empire would be like the United States, and then the Earth would be like, or the solar system would be Wisconsin, and then like we'd be like Earth would be Milwaukee or something like that. And it's like just in terms of like the hierarchy.
The thing too about Earth too is like there's a lot of claim. It's like all planets. Earth isn't all just owned by one person, and there's like, for instance, like Alexander Paranorov right now. He's trying to say he's the ruler and king of Earth. So right now, I would say, from my estimations of looking around and like witnessing what I'm witnessing, like seeing what I'm seeing, I would say that like like what you said is true, but we're also seeing like a point of like right now the ownership of Earth is being contested.
And he's one of those Illuminati people. He's in that mix of the Illuminati. Yeah. Because Kim Gauguin has cited him too. And other people have said he's looked familiar, I believe, in addition to you, Arkheim. And
for the question in the audience, the John Whitberg's book is The Man with the Periwinkle's Eyes. It's available for free on YouTube and also
on Scribd.
Yeah, and it's very good book. To me, it's the most realistic, straight in your face documentation of Black Ops projects and what it's really like I've ever seen. It's blatantly straight to the point, in your fucking face, and I actually really like that about it. It doesn't really beat around the bushes at all, and it's kind of triggering for me because Emmerman is my father, Carl Emmerman, and that guy's in that book a lot. Finding out who he was. But yeah, it's been interesting. It's been an interesting wild ride figuring all this stuff out. Like my family, Brian, is just like floored. Like that. Like my mom and my dad and my brother and his daughter and his son were visiting my aunt and my uncle when I figured that out and sent the picture over. And I guess that was like the talk of the family gathering. They're just like, that guy fucking is a wood. Like, what the fuck? Like, he looks like us. Like, he looks like Kirk. He looks like Ark. Like he looks so much like my dad. He looks even more like my dad than me, and he also looks like me, but he looks like my dad's like brother or something. Like, it's fucking crazy.
So have you done much research into your dad's background, Arkheim?
I'm finding out, like, research as in what? Like,
well, it's like maybe the family ties of like, there's a lot of German ancestry, and then they came over around World War II. Or
what I think with my father is he's also part of probably the pantheon of the Egyptian gods. Not sure which one.
And then that would be Project Ibis, like what
Yeah,
Whitberg just wrote about, is where
yeah,
they're
and
finding these people.
I almost wonder if like he is like just raw, but I don't know. It's like, and another thing with my dad is he's very brilliant, and he explained it to me. He explained to me when I was a child. He's like, we're living in a computer, son. Like, this is a computer simulation. None of this is real. This is a computer program. Everything you see in front of you is just a computer like a hologram. None of it's real. Like, he told me that as a kid, and like he's understood that like his whole life, and like he's schizophrenic, so he got the whole thing where like you're crazy. They put him on medication, yada yada yada. And but no, for the most part though, I mean, when the voices are uncontrollable, like he did need help. So, and thankfully he can control, like when voices go in his head and he doesn't like them, he can be like, fuck off, go away. You know what I mean? So that's good. But like, yeah, they use V2K on my dad too. That's something that's kind of dark, that I talked about this a lot. Like Preston Nichols talks about how when he turns 33, when we turn 33, oh, thank you for buying my book. I really appreciate it, Ashley. But basically, Preston Nichols talks about when they turn 33, that the suicide programming kicks in, and they all see red and they try to kill themselves. Well, when my dad was 33, he saw all red and he tried to kill himself. And he heard voices saying that if you don't kill yourself, we're gonna kill your family and all this stuff. And like, it was real dark, man. But like, yeah, like we came home to my dad like bleeding out on the floor, like. And the fact that he survived is like a miracle. The doctor told us like he has no idea how my dad survived. It's literally a miracle. So, and I think there was divine forces protecting him, because what they wanted to do was get my brother. He was supposed to be programmed to like hurt me and like be an abusive father, but they failed at that. So their next best thing they thought was to get rid of him and make me not have a father, which would fuck me up psychologically. And they didn't succeed at that. And what qualified Preston for such an important secret job? He knows a lot about computers. He's actually really, really fucking smart. Like when he talks about science, and when he talks about quantum physics, and when he talks about sound, the science of sound, and all that stuff, he's a fucking genius. What can I say? The guy is extremely intelligent. He's a genius.
And so then Daryl, sorry, good. I want to add to this after you finished.
Yeah, but basically, yeah, just to answer his question, Preston Nichols was a genius, man. He was. That's why.
And then the other part of that is he was willing and he happily did the nasty shit that he did.
Yeah, there probably are a lot of people real smart with computers, but not that many of them were sadistic as that guy.
Right. So he wasn't burdened by a conscience where the other side has to worry that he's going to run out of Camp Hero and go into town at the local bar and start crying into his beer about how terribly the children are being harmed underneath the base. That wasn't him.
Perk of the job to him instead of
he saw it as a perk.
He had to put up with. Yeah. So, but yeah, back to just the MARSupials. Again, I guess we've been here for an hour, and I don't really know that we could probably wrap up soon.
Anyone got any last questions? So throw them in.
Yeah. Somebody also talked about the Omega programming. I'm really glad that you made it out of that, Double D, and that you're still here with us. Yeah, so again, like I said, I just wanted to kind of talk about this because I thought it was important, and not to target. This is happening at schools across the country. So it's like, on a surface level, the school that I cleaned, they're super duper nice people, super nice teachers. The kids are great. They all knew who I was, and they're all really nice to me. And yeah, I would hate to have anything bad ever happen to any of them. So just keep that in mind if you start being an investigative journalist and looking into this stuff, is that all you have is a school full of really bright, nice kids and teachers who work really hard for not enough money. So please leave them the fuck alone. Thank you. But and they don't know what's going on with these Black Ops programs. So they're literally innocent. So please keep that in mind.
And even though that school had nicer facilities, it's not like those teachers are being paid very well. It sounds
No,
like
and,
Arkheim.
and it's really subtle stuff, like that you wouldn't know, like you really wouldn't notice, like like the teacher said, or excuse me, one of the janitors who trained me is like, yeah, I clean a whole high school like 3 times this size, and I got this tiny crappy little scrubber, and you got this big one. Like it's little stuff like that where they're not. It's not like they're fucking got like a movie theater and 3 gymnasiums, and if you went in there, it actually seems like a pretty low income place. But if you look around and actually start seeing, there's money being thrown around. Yeah,
Okay.
you have to kind of pay attention.
Right.
Sam Moose Goose, welcome. You're a little late. Go back to watch this one. As I live in a country full of marsupials.
Oh yes, down under.
Well, thank you for joining us, Kira, and everybody else. And
Hey, Arkheim, I do have a question for you before we sign off here.
okay,
So on the topic of Mars, here are the children getting training, and they're doing battle school. And then, do you feel that later on, then, since you're getting training on Mars, that the kids were then later also deployed on Mars to do things like hunting down the native population?
No.
Or was it separate?
They got sent off world. None of the kids were doing stuff on Mars that I worked with. They're getting sent to colonize other planets. Mars is kind of like, we already did it all, so that already happened. Yeah, so yeah, we were sending them out other places, and then I need a miracle. What's your perception of Stuart's Wardlow? I recently got messages from somebody that lives in the same town as him that he's a really bad person, and I believe them. Stuart was a really big part of a lot of the CP that was being created at Montauk. He would wear like a black leather uniform and like a leather mask and do like dominatrix type stuff, but to like children. Yeah, and I always forgave him for that because I understand that they programmed us to have evil alters and stuff like that. So, but I'm finding out that he's gone the Preston Nichols route where people go to him for help, and he says, "Oh, well, we need to do sexual stuff, sexual programming," and it kind of sounds like he's being a creep. And another problem that I have with him is we've been there's lots of us Montauk survivors now, and we've all been reaching out to him, and he won't respond to us. So I think that I have a feeling that he is doing all this weird stuff, and the reason why he doesn't want to talk to us is because he thinks that we're going to call him out. Now, there's a rumor going around that he has cancer, and that's why he's not talking to any of us. For me, I would think that if you have cancer and that you're on your deathbed, then would be a good time to apologize to all of the children that you molested. So I don't know. I don't really see any reason why he would hide. Like he's like if you really like to me it seems like he's hiding from us. And if people are lying about him and he's not bad and he isn't doing weird stuff, well then why the hiding? Also, in the same breath, he's released a lot of really awesome books that are not false information, like his books on hyperspace. He's released some books on like sex and like energy exchange during sex, and that kind of help people understand it better. And he's an intelligent guy with a lot of knowledge, and his books it's kind of like Preston too. Like Preston was a monster, but his books were good. They're okay. They had truth in them. Maybe they whitewashed things, but you can learn a thing or two from the books. And same thing with Stuart Swordlow. You can learn from his books and stuff like that. But as a person, he seems like not a good person. I'm hearing rumors about him doing sketchy stuff. And also that he's a part of like the Masonic cult, like the weird cult stuff going on in Michigan. So take that with a grain of salt. If Stuart wants to defend himself and be like, look, man, I'm not doing that, bro. Then come on my fucking show, answer my messages. But until you do that, yeah, that's what people think of you. People think you're some pervert. Like, so if you want people to not think you're a pervert, Stuart, if you see this, stop being such a fucking pussy and talk to us. Like, for real, it kind of upsets me. Like, we are survivors of a horrendous project that are trying to get the world to know what happened to us. And Stuart you've been doing this for like 20 years. So like, why the fuck aren't you helping us get the word out and like being like, yeah, these guys are telling the truth. They're real. Like, why the fuck are you just out in your corner on your own? Is it because you want to just go around and molest people? That's what it seems like to me, but I don't know. Anyway.
Well, full disclosure, I'm pretty sure on Facebook that is actually Stuart Swerdlow's account, and we're friends on Facebook. So I'll take it on myself to send him some friendly messages and invite him on.
I reached out to him, and again, I don't want to be like that guy where I'm like, I don't like. Maybe it's totally wrong and it's rumors, and because I heard from Laura Eisenhower, he's a really nice guy. Laura knows him, and she told me that like he's super intelligent dude, and she's good friends with them, and she's just kind of been laying low lately. So I don't know. Like I said, take it with a grain of salt, but it just does kind of seem like he has something to hide because he's fucking literally hiding, is what it seems like. So if he didn't have anything to hide, then I feel like he'd be easier to contact. But I don't know.
Maybe we can try him through Laura, and then it's like through other routes. It seems like people haven't been able to reach him for years of trying directly. So there's that.
All right. Well, I appreciate everybody tuning in. I'm going to end the stream now. And also, before you go, make sure to buy my book. And then for those who are interested, I have a Patreon, and I have some exclusive content on there. And it just helps support me and my work. So people that want to check that out, go ahead and check it out. And, of course, buy my book, please, if you can, on Amazon, and leave it a positive review. There's only like 5 reviews. To those of you who have read it and you enjoyed it, please leave me a positive review if you can. I really appreciate it. Or a nasty one if you didn't like the book. But anyway, all right. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.